Right, hello everybody. Hopefully this is working. Happy Saturday evening. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I am just jumping on here because I've got a few things. I forgot to mention something last night actually, which I'll get to a little bit later on. But first of all, just to let you know what I've been up to today. I nearly missed out on this. It was just something I saw on Facebook. There was like a military kind of reenactment kind of thing going on. In aid of a military charity. They had an airsoft sort of range where you could sort of like shoot at the targets and stuff. So I took my eldest there. She had something on the afternoon she had to get to, but I thought before that we had time to go there because it was on for like 7 hours between 10 and 5. So I thought, oh, we'll just go and see what it's like. So glad I went. So glad I went. It was really good fun. The airsoft range was brilliant. So I'm going to share this screen here. There we go, and then let's see, I'll sort of share some of these photos here. So here she is. Here's my 13-year-old daughter with this awesome airsoft gun here, shooting at this target over here. We both had a go with the same type of the gun. There was all sorts there. They had like the replica of the SA-80 that the British forces use, with the scope on and stuff, and there was a woman, there was a wifey on before having a go at that, but I don't think the sights were really kind of zeroed in for sort of close quarters like that, so you would have had to have aimed lower than the target to actually hit the target, and because she wasn't putting her eye close enough to the sight, to be fair, she didn't really know what she was doing, and she was this woman, she was aiming like above the target. I could see just by the line of sight, and she just missed every shot above the target. So when it got to our go, I said to the people there, I says, have you got any with just like iron sights without the scope? Because it's obviously it's quite close. I think I'd be better off just using by eye. And they were like, yeah, sure. There was a couple they had, including this one. I think this one, they said it's the one that the British police force use, this sort of airsoft version of it. So we did that, and it just had the two like normal iron sights with the two circles that you line up, and the little stick that halfway up the second circle that you line onto your target. It was a really windy day, really windy at times, but thankfully it didn't really seem to affect the. They've obviously got some decent pressure in these things, and it wasn't that far away the target, so it was still fairly accurate. So there she is. I was trying to tell her how to sort of get a decent stance to start with. She was sort of a bit too far back, and I was like, you need to lean into it, get the stock into your shoulder, and lean forward into it. And I mean, this was her first time, doing anything like this, but she really enjoyed this. And you know what? She was a really good shot. She did well. So I've got here. Where is it now? This is her. If you can see this here, this is her one. So she's got a good grouping all here. Sort of centre mass around the head, neck area, shoulder. One sort of glancing the helmet. This one here, kind of belly shot, centre mass. I was quite impressed. I mean, the first ever go. Sorry, excuse me. I'm just going to mute the mic. Sorry about that. Bit of a dry throat there. Perhaps I should just have a quick swig of a drink. So yeah, she must get that from my wife, because my wife, when she was in teacher training years and years ago at university, so like 20 years ago, she went to Kentucky for 5 weeks. They were doing like a teacher thing, so for 5 weeks over there she was in America doing teaching the kids there and learning about the differences between the education system. And one of the lecturer's sons took them all to a range there, so she had to go at firing a pistol and also a rifle, and she brought back her sort of target like this, and her grouping was really good, and I was like, I better not get on the wrong side of my wife at any point, because she's a good shot. Yeah, so that's my daughter's one. I've got mine, I believe. Let's see. Here we go, Dad's. So yeah, mine was a fairly good grouping here. I was sort of aiming around this sort of like, top chest sort of area. So I got a few through his mouth, a few through the chest area, shoulders, one in the helmet. Pretty good grouping. The equipment was really good. At that kind of range. With those iron sights was fine, didn't need any kind of scopes. If anything, that would just complicate the matter and get in the way of where you're actually looking at. So that was good fun. They also had, they had people in Roman outfits walking around. They had this people doing this American Civil War reenactment. It was really loud. It was great. So they did the part here. I was joking saying that wasn't really anything to do with the American Civil War. This was just a group of Mackems and Geordies having a bit of a tiff. People here in the northeast of England will know what I mean between Mackems and Geordies. We don't live far apart, but it's a really big rivalry. I suppose you got the same in Glasgow with the Rangers and Celtic kind of thing, you know. So yeah, there's having their go, they're having their go. They were just sort of reenacting the way it works. That was good fun. That was good. So yeah, that was in aid of community. It was a Community Jubilee Charity Armed Forces Weekend. So they were raising money for various sort of charities, and they had like all sorts of stalls there. They were selling mead, beers, tombolas, raffles, all that kind of stuff. We were only there for about maybe an hour and a half, but there was all sorts. They had I didn't get a picture of it, but they had a big model of the flagship from, oh, where was it now? There's a Sunderland lad. What's his name? Oh, that's annoyingly going to go out of my head. It was the one where we were fighting the Dutch, and the Dutch cannon managed to knock down it hit the flag on the sort of the flag bearing, the admiral ship or whatever it is, the flag bearing ship, and a lad from Jack Crawford, that's his name, I think. Jack Crawford from Sunderland. He went up there, grabbed the flag, went up onto the mast, and was like, and I think this is where they're saying nailing your colours to the mast comes from. He was like holding up a flag to raise morale, and it's like, no, not having any of this, because if the British saw that the flag was down, they might see that as a sign of surrender, apparently. So he was like, no, that's not happening. I don't know if it was just his bravery or whether he was ordered or both, but he went up there, took heavy fire, holding up this flag to the mast. I think I got told he took a wound to the face, broke his jaw, the shot, but he survived it. Got back to England's military honours and stuff, and drank a lot, and then died of something that may have been related to the drink. Bless him. But a bit of a Sunderland hero, his statues are in the parks here and stuff. Jack Crawford, worth looking up. But yeah, so they had the big replica of his of the boat. So that was interesting. Particularly for me, is like in the past, one of my past jobs was professional model maker. I used to make like architectural models and things like that for work, for a job. So that was cool. So that's that. The other thing that I forgot, I'll just clear some of these photos. The other thing that I forgot yesterday was that for the first time in ages, I played some five-a-side football. Group of lads. I used to like playing in goal. If I played football, I wasn't very good at playing out. I just get tired very quickly. I'm kind of okay in goal sometimes. Sometimes I can pull off an amazing dive and an amazing save, and then other times something that I should stop goes against me and goes through, and I'm like, oh, really? So I'm a bit inconsistent in that way, but it was funny. The guy messaged me, and I was like, yeah, me and Jen would quite like to come along. Can we? Yeah, we can come and play. I said, I'm pretty old and out of shape, mind. And he sort of says, oh yeah, most of us are out of shape too. I was sold a lie, people. I was sold a lie, right? This is it here. It's probably quite blurry. So there's me there. I was playing out at some points, playing in goal at some points, and there's some of these lads here. These lads were like in their kind of mid-20s in peak physical fitness and really good at football. I was like, yeah, right. I mean, there was a small handful of us that weren't in as good a shape, but most of these lads were awesome. I had a bit of a clatter into one of them going for the ball once as well. I took a bit of a knock to the bad area. I mean, this lad must have been about 6'3" or 4 or something. I had to take a minute or two. I was like, oh, all right, lads. I was on the floor for a couple of minutes there. But yeah, good fun. I'm feeling it now today, though. My legs are still aching. But we might do that again next month. Have a little bit of five-a-side. That was good fun. But yeah, I just remember the message saying, oh yeah, most of us are out of shape as well. No, not these lads. These were in peak physical fitness in their 20s. So yeah, so I forgot to mention that, like football over 40, it gets harder and harder. At one point, I was marking a lad who he actually works for Sunderland Football Club, does some of the I think it's for like he does the writing on the websites and stuff. I think he sort of commentates on the games and stuff, so he travels around with the team. And but he's again must be in his early 20s or something, and he's fit as a fiddle. And I was like, at one point I was trying to mark him, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? I should just use age and treachery and just trip him up, you know, rather than trying to keep up with these lads. But that was all good fun. And so what else I've been up to? I think the football was the only thing I forgot to mention. And then today we went to that place. I was really quite impressed with it. It was great, really good atmosphere. You know, they had ice cream van there. They had all sorts of stuff going on, reenactments. Got talking to some interesting blokes. There was a fellow who had some. He'd collected some old swords and guns from the past. So he had some stuff from Afghanistan, from and India and stuff like that. All these different swords. He was showing us different types of swords with a different type of hand guards and things. Obviously just an enthusiast that has built up his collection over time, and he was quite happy to tell us all about it and stuff, and showing us some of the old rifles where you would fill them with gunpowder, pack it down, put the ball in, prime the flint and steel thing. Really some old relics, but it was interesting. It was well worth a visit, particularly as it was only around the corner from where I live as well. It was literally like a 5-minute drive. So that was that. Let me just see if there's anything else in the news worth talking about. See if I can boomer this and press the right buttons. I think I'd seen there was something here about the the petition to remove Amber Heard completely from that second Aquaman movie was like 4.5 million signatures now or something. In my opinion, I think they'd get more people going to see the movie if they just exit completely from it, if they sort of wing it that way. Because I know of people that have said that if she's in it, I'm not going to go and watch it. Now me, I'm always behind the times with this stuff. I mean, I haven't even seen the first Aquaman, and with the Marvel stuff, it like took me years after everybody had seen it before I sort of caught up and watched some of that stuff. So yeah, it means nothing to me really, but for the people that do sort of follow these things, they really don't want them to be in there, and I don't blame them. But yeah, I personally, just my gut feeling is that the studio will get less people going to see it if she's in it. I think if they actually from it and announce, don't worry, she's not going to be in it, I think they'll actually get more people going to go and see it. I might be wrong. That's just my gut opinion. So, or gut feeling, sort of, should I say. So let's see what else is going on. Lots of horrible things. A Leeds pub goes up in flames as police launch hunt for arsonist. That's a shame. I hope they catch them. You can't just be setting fire to buildings. I mean, as bad as that is, it's the whole kind of risk to life as well. I mean, if there's people that live in the buildings next door, you might be kids there. It's just no. Yeah, not good. Let's see, business. Petrol. Forecourts face up to 3 attempted fuel thefts a day. Oh, so people just filling up and legging it, are they? Surely, if you're going to do that, you'd have to slightly change your registration or cover it in some way, because there must be there's cameras everywhere nowadays, and good quality ones. So you couldn't just fill up and drive off with your actual reg, because then the police can just come around later and go, hello, who's the vehicle owner for this vehicle, please? It's been involved in a theft. I don't know how it works, but yeah, I'd imagine if people are doing that, they'd be sort of putting on a fake plate, which is like a clone plate or something. In fact, actually, when I was at uni, we're talking like 22, 23 years ago now. 1 second. One of my housemates, we were sharing this house. He had this little Rover Metro thing. Were awful looking cars, weren't they? I had one at one point. He had this Rover Metro car, and he got this letter, and it was like saying that I can't remember if it was a parking fine or speeding. I don't think it was speeding. I think it was parking fines or something. On the opposite side of the country, hundreds of miles away, but same reg. and somebody had obviously just cloned that reg or just like made a one up, and it happened to match his car, just so they could go and park wherever. And I don't know, oh, maybe it was speeding fine, whatever it was. But it was, he was like, "What? What's this?" He had an alibi. His car was nowhere near it, so he was able to sort of contest it in some way. But it wasn't what you want to have to deal with, you know. I had something similar a few months back about a parking thing. You know, one of these parking eye things that catches your reg as you go into a car park, and then you're supposed to pay on your way out, and then it clocks your reg in and out, and you know whether you've paid or not. It was my reg. It was down in Leeds or somewhere, near where I lived, really. You know, a couple of hours away, and a completely different make and model of car. So I just wrote to them saying, "You can shove this straight in the bin, or take me to court, or whatever. This has nothing to do with me," and they explained why, and never heard back from them again. But yeah, that would have been interesting. With those private car parks, though, as well, they don't really have a lot of authority to do anything. They like to scare and threaten people into paying fines, but if it's from the council or the police, then yeah, pay the fine. If it's like a private parking thing and you think that you've been unfairly fined, actually I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to advise you, but they don't have as much power as they make out. They would actually have to take you to court, prove that you've caused them a loss of money and stuff like that. I think there were some people that went to court and were like, okay, so I cost you maybe £2 or £3. I'm happy to pay that, but I'm not. This amount of money you've made up, I haven't agreed to any kind of contract there, and it all depends on how clear the signage is, the distance from the signage to where they parked, and things like that. A lot of the time, they just won't take anybody to court over it. They rely on threatening people, and a lot of people are compliant and just be like, oh no, and they panic and pay the fine. But yeah, I remember in the past, my wife, when she was doing some training, a university course, and she was, there was a car park, it was full. I think it was full or something, but there was like a kind of a lead up road to it, and some people had just sort of parked on the edge. They weren't impeding anything. They tried to slap a fine on that, but that was never going to work because it wasn't actually in a bay. It wasn't actually in any kind of signed off bay or anything like that. So she wasn't breaching any kind of rules or any kind of, like, she hadn't entered into any kind of contract with the people. So we're like, just ignore that. Never heard back. They never they never pursued that because they would have had zero chance in court of proving that we'd entered into any kind of agreement or contract, whether assumed or not. And she hadn't caused them any financial loss because she wasn't in an actual parking bay that they were charging for. So, like, okay, how are you going to prove you've had any financial loss from the car being there temporarily? They wouldn't have been able to do so, so they obviously didn't bother. But I think a lot of people don't realise or don't look into the legalities of things and their rights. I guess I've kind of got an interest in that. Some of that's come through with me sort of watching these trials and stuff. Although most of that stuff's in America, not UK law. But I always like to try and figure out my rights first before just handing over money to people. It's like, no, hang on a minute. Are you entitled to this or not? And they weren't entitled to anything. So, sorry, I'm rambling on a bit now. What was that about? Petrol prices. Oh yeah, the thefts. When we used to live in a village in Lincolnshire years ago, I remember my brother when he was younger, and he must have only been 17 or 18 or something when he had a car, and it was before a lot of the technology and cameras and things. The little village petrol station, he went and filled up, and I think he said he just completely forgot and just drove off. He said the wifey that was working at the till there, I mean, everyone kind of knew each other. She said he realised and stopped and started turning around, and when he was driving back, she was kind of like going out the road, like looking down the road. And he was like, he just pulled in and was like, oh, sorry, I've completely forgot to pay that, and just paid for it. But yeah, I couldn't imagine nowadays, you know, having the goal to just fill up on petrol and drive off. The thing is, as well with me, like, I've always had the thing of like, if I'm going to become a criminal and a thief, it's not going to be for something like 100 quid or 500 quid or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to do it anyway. I you know, try to obey the laws. But if I was going to be a thief, a proper, it would have to be for like hundreds of thousands or millions. I'd have to put my mind to it. I mean, why am I going to make myself a criminal and a thief for a few hundred quid? No, not worth it. Not worth it. So yeah, that wouldn't be me. But there must be cloning or faking regs or changing something, like change an E to an 8 or something like that temporarily with some black tape or something if they're going to be nicking fuel, because there's just so many cameras everywhere. And if it's left the correct reg on there, they'll just come and get you later and just slap you a fine or something. I don't know. What else is going on? Flights diverted at East Midlands Airport after drones spotted nearby. So this is going to be a problem, because as drones become cheaper and more prevalent and people use them for fun, it means you're going to get the idiots or people that don't know better flying into these kind of restricted airspaces, causing these kind of issues. That's harsh for the passengers, but I guess they've got to make sure, obviously, that the planes are safe. I mean, remember that plane that landed in the Hudson? Sully was the captain, where it was a double bird strike. It was really, really rare. Just shortly after takeoff, and the bird strike took out the two main engines, and he was just like, he did a really good job to save everybody's life there. Made a movie about it. Tom Hanks was in it. Good movie. But yeah, so I guess that's the main kind of fear with drones being around planes. What else going on? Nothing that I don't know. Energy and food to drive inflation to the highest for 40 years. Yeah, everybody knows that if they've got eyes and ears. Doesn't look like the... Yeah, maybe some things I shouldn't talk about. Justin Bieber cancels his shows. Look into what's happened to Justin Bieber. Make your own decisions and conclusions on that. Because him and his wife, two different things, similar timing. I'll leave that as it is. Right, let me see. What time is it? How long have I been talking gibberish? 22 minutes. Okay. I will leave that there. So you have a great Saturday night, everyone. Yep, have a great Saturday night, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.